Welcome to MD Bytes. In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you the basics of Python programming. Initially, let me show how to declare variables and assign values, and I'm going to show you the examples how to convert integer to string and string to integer in Python. Starting with the basic example, x equals 10. In here, the value 10 is assigned to the variable x. Now, let me print by using a printing statement in Python, print x. So this is how we call the printing function to print the value of x. So now we got the output 10, which is the value of the variable x. Now let me declare another variable to give an example for string value. So y equals, within double quotes I just type hi. So this is a string value which is assigned to the variable y. Now let me print the value of y as well by using print function in here. So print y, let me execute it. So then you can see the value of x and y has been printed. So this is how we declare a variable and assign values in Python. Now let me show you another example by declaring a variable a and assigning with a string function str, and within brackets I just give the value 10, means the value 10 will be converted into a string type and assigned to the variable a. And I go with another example, variable b assigned with integer function, and this time within brackets I just give 3, which means the value 3 is being already a numeric which will be converted into an integer type and assigned to variable b. Now let us print both the values of a and b using the print statement. So I have entered print a and also now print b. Now I'm going to execute it. So the value 10 will be a string and value 3 will be an integer in the output. You can see it has been printed. Now let me convert these to string types. So by giving a double quotes, the value 10 will be converted to be an string, also this 3. So this time this string value 3 will be converted to an integer type and assigned to b, and the value 10 is already a string, here is assigned to a as a string. So when I do execute it, we'll get the same output as 10 and 3 based on the conversion functions we have used in here. This is how we do convert in Python. Now we move on to the data types in Python, where we are going to work with integer, float, string and boolean types. Starting with a basic example, I go with x equals 10. Again I'm assigning the value 10 to the variable x. This time I'm going to print the type of the variable x. So this type function returns the data type of the variable. In the execution you can see class int, means x is an integer variable. Now we go with y equals to 2.80, and this time I'm going to print the type of the variable y. So I pass in the type function where I use y as the value. So now let me go and execute it. You can see float is the type of variable y. So this is how the type function is used. Now let us have a look on string types. I go with capital A equals, within double quotes I just type hi, and since Python is case sensitive I go with another variable small a equals, and this time within single quotes. So I just type hello. So this is also considered as string data type. And now let us go and print the type of both the variables. I go with type function. First I go with capital A and then I go with another print function. So this time I pass the variable small a within the type function. So then I need to get the types of these both variables. I just execute. You can see both are string types. With these two methods of string data types in Python, we also have another one where we can go with multiple lined strings. So for that, C equals, I go with triple time double quotes and I paste a collection of string, and I'm going to make this as multi-lined value. So learning computing skill one line and boost your will be the second line, IT skills with MD bytes will be the third line. So now I am going to print the value of C, and I'm also going to use a print function to get the type of the variable C. So this time I go with type and I'm going to pass the variable name C. So this prints the variable type in the output, and before that the value of C will be displayed. So I have just executed. You can see the multi-lined value for the string variable C has been displayed in the output. Now with this I will also show you another example to work on string variables in Python, x equals, within double quotes I just type hi hello. So this is the string value I have assigned to variable x. Now I'm going to use a print statement, print, and within brackets I just type the variable x, and here within square brackets I just mention as 0. So this will retrieve the first character of the string. So I just execute it. You can see h is the output, which is the first value. So to get the exact value, we can change the position value. So now I just give 2, so the third character will be displayed. So you can see I is being displayed over there. Now I will take you to the another example where I'm going to print the length of the string. So I go with the print statement, within brackets I just use the length function, and here again inside the bracket I just mention the variable x. So this will print the length of the string. Let me execute. So you can see in the output it displays as 9, which is the length of the string x. So these are the basics of strings in Python. Now let us move on to Boolean type. So here I go with a print statement and type 10 greater than 20, and I'm going to execute this statement now, so that the output will show as false, so which is a Boolean type answer. So I go with another example. I go with print statement. This time I just type 20 greater than 10. So let us do execute this, so that another Boolean type value will be resulted. So true is the answer. So this is the basic example for understanding the Boolean types. Let us try with a conditional statement. Here I go with a equals 20 and b equals 10 this time. So I'm going to use a conditional statement where I'm going to use if condition, if a greater than b. So this is my condition. If this is true, I go with a print statement where I need it has to be displayed as a is greater than, I just type as greater than b. So this is my output if a is greater than b. Else I go with a copy. So I just copy the statement. I'm going for else part. So I just type else, and I go with a colon. So this time I'm going to print it as b is greater than a. So if fails, it will display as b is greater than a. So this is the execution. I go with execution. So you can see a is greater than b, as the condition is true in here. So now let me show you some of the examples how to use bool function. Starting with print statement, within brackets I go with the bool function. I just call the bool function and I'm going to pass a string value in here, hi. So now let me do execute this. You can see the output is true because this bool function has some value, so it returns true. Now let me take you to another example. Print bool function. In here I'm going to pass an integer value. Let us do 10, and let me now execute this. Since we have a value again in here, we will get true as the result. As these two bool functions, as these two print statement which has bool function has some values, it gives us true. Now let me show you the possibilities of false values. So here I have removed the value. I don't pass any value within the bool function. Now let me do execute this and let us check it out the output. So you can see the result as false. So there are other possibilities as well. Now I go with another one. So this time I just give only the double quotes where I don't pass any value in here. It is an empty string. So if we execute this, we will get false. So there is another possibility. So I go with another print statement which has bool function. This time I just type none. So I don't pass any value in here. Even if you give none, it will result as false. So also we have another possibility of false value in bool function. So if we just give 0, so then this print function will also return as false, which means that this bool function doesn't have any value. So these are the possibilities of bool functions in Python. Now let me go with the next set of exercises where we are going to work on sequences and dictionaries, and we are going to work on lists, tuples and sets over there. So starting with the example of list, I just declare a variable a, and this is going to be a list where I'm going to add the first item as Microsoft within double quotes, and this time I just give a comma. Within double quotes I just type the next item, which is Google, and also I go with the third one. Within double quotes I just type Apple. So these are the three items for the list A, and I'm going to print this. I just type print within bracket the variable a. So now let us do execute this. So which we will get the list of items. So Microsoft, Google and Apple. So this is the list. Now I'm going to show you an example to find the length of the list. So I just type length is a function where I pass the variable a in here, and if I do execute this, we will get the output of the length of the list. Also, we can add items into the list by using append function. So I just type a dot, I go with append function to add an item into the list. So I just click here, and within brackets I need to enter the item. So within double quotes I just do again type as Google. So I want this as to be added as the next item in the list. So this time I go with the print statement again, and I'm call the variable a, and I'm going to execute this. So let me do execute. You can see the output comes up with a new added item. Google has been added as a fourth item. So now let me also do print the length of the list. So I just go with print length of a, it gives as 4. So this time the list has 4 items in here. So this is how we declare, assign and append or add items into the list in Python. Now let me take you to the next example, which is about tuple. So here for tuple we have to start with the circular bracket, or you can call it as parenthesis, and we can go with adding the items. So the first one is Microsoft, I just give a comma, go with the second item Google, and also I go with the third one as Apple again. So the most important differentiate point within tuples and lists, tuple is fixed. You cannot add more items in here. Once you have added, that will be the fixed list item. So I go with print option for the tuple, where I'm going to call the small a, and to avoid confusion, what I do, I just remove the printing statements which I have used earlier for the list. So now I have only the tuple in here. I'm going to print it. So you can see the list, the tuple items have been printed. Now to get the length of the tuple, we go with another print statement using a length function. By calling the variable a, we can have the list, we can have the length of the tuple. So this is how we use tuple in Python. Now let me take you to the next example, sets. So to declare a set or to assign values, we have to go with curly braces and list out the items. So I go with, again, the first item is Microsoft, comma, I go with Google again as the second item, and I go with another one which is the third item, probably Apple. So I just type it as Apple, and this is how we declare a set and assign the values for a set variable. So now let us go for the fourth one again, Google. So this one I will show the difference between the list and set, where the duplicated value will be automatically removed. So I just go with print set. So I'm going to print the set items. So I'm going to execute it. You can see the output, it has already sorted, and also the duplicate values have been removed. So now Apple is in the first position, Microsoft in the second, and Google is in the third. Now I'm going to show you an example for declaring and assigning values for dictionary variable. So this capital A will be our dictionary variable, and this is how we need to assign the values for a dictionary variable. So for that we have to provide two set of values, key and then values. So initially I start with a key, which is channel. I have mentioned within double quotes. By giving a colon, I need to provide the value. So my value for the key channel will be MD bytes, which should be also mentioned between double quotes. Now let me go with the second one, so where the second key will be country. So the country is my key, so I need to give the value for the key. So the value will be Malaysia. So Malaysia will be my value for the second key, which is country. Now I go with the third one. I just type here as year. So year will be the key, and for here the value will be 2021. I just key in as 2021 will be the value. So here now we have declared a variable a as dictionary, since we have assigned the values with keys. So now I go with the print statement to print the dictionary variable. I just go with print statement within brackets. I just call the variable a. Now if I do execute, we can see all the keys and values in the output. Yes, you can see the keys and the values have been displayed. Now let me show you another example to display only the value by calling the key. So here I just go with print statement. Within brackets I just call the variable a. Within double quotes here I just type channel. So channel is one of the key, which is the first key. Now if I do print, we will get the value of the key channel. So MD bytes is the value displayed in the output in here. Now as we call the channel key to display the value MD bytes, now let me show you another example. So with another print statement here, so this time I'm going to pass another key, which is year. So year will be the key I'm going to refer. So then if I do execute it now, we will get the output as 2021. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another key and value, so which will be again year. So year is another key which I have added. This time I'm going to assign the value as 2022. So this value will be overridden for the key year. So if I do now execute it, so we will get the value as 2022. So this will be overridden. As you can see, the output shows as 2022. That's dictionary. As next I'm going to show you the conditional statements and looping statements with some examples for if, else if, elif, while and for loop. So the first example will be for if condition. So now let me start with the example. So for that I just declare variable a, and I'm going to assign this variable with an integer value 100. So 100 is the value assigned to a, and now I go for b equals 100. So now let me start with if condition. I just go with if and I just pass the condition a greater than b. So this is my condition. So if this is true, I go with the print statement. I just type print, I open the bracket, and within double quotes I just type a is greater. So if the condition is true, this print statement will be executed. If not, if a is not greater than b, then I need to enter the value for else part. I just type else colon, and then this time I go for another print statement. Within print statement I just open a bracket, within double quotes I just type b is greater. So this will be executed if the condition is false. Now let me do execute this and check it out the output. So you can see the output shows as b is greater. So the problem is both the values of a and b are equal, where I have set up the condition only to check greater than or less than. So now I go with another option by using elif, so where I can pass a new condition in. So elif is, I select from here, and now I'm going to pass in the new condition over here, so which is a equals b. So this is a relational operator which helps me to check it out whether both are equal. So if this is true, I go with another print statement where I'm going to print as both are equal. So if this condition is true, the output will be displayed as both are equal. Now let me check with the output. So I do execute it in here. You can see the output says as both are equal. So this is how we use and structure if condition in Python. So now let me take you to the next exercise where we are going to work with while loops. So I start with declaring a variable a and assigning value 2 to it. So now let me start the while loop in here. So while, and I need to set up the condition in here, a equals 2. So if this condition is true, I'm going to have a statement over here. Let me have the print statement. Within brackets I have mentioned a, means that if the condition a equals 2 is true, then I want a to be printed. Let me see the execution. So you can see it keeps on printing 2 because a equals 2 is true, then it started printing a continuously. So first let me stop the execution and restructure the while loop in here. So first I'm going to modify this relational operator where I'm going to remove this equal and I'm going to set it up less than or equal to, and for 2 I replace this as 12. So this is my condition. So I'm going to print a, but I'm going to set up an increment value, so where a plus equals 2, so which means that I'm going to increment it by 2. So each and every iteration a will be incremented with a value of 2, then the condition will be verified, then the output will be printing the value of a. So this is the output. The loop starts from the initial value 2 and it gets incremented by 2 by each and every iteration, and then it checks the value with the condition a less than or equal to 12, and the output displays the value of a. So then it goes until 12 and it stops the loop. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the loop by when the the egg becomes 10. So for that, I'm going to place an if condition over here. The condition is if a greater than 10. So if this condition is true, I'm going to insert a break statement over here. So this break statement will exit from the loop. So it will stop the loop and it will exit out. So here, when in the last iteration, when a becomes 12, I'm going to check whether the 12 is greater than 10. So obviously it will be true. Then this break statement will be applied and it will stop the loop and it will exit. So then the final printing statement will be skipped out. So then if I do execute now, you can see the printing statement will be executed only until 10. You can see the output, it prints only until the value 10. So now this break statement can be replaced with another statement, which is continue, to continue the loop. So even though if this condition is true, I want the loop has to be continued. So I just type continue, and if I do execute it now, even after checking out this condition, the loop will be continued. So then it displays from 2 to 12. Now I will show another example to insert an else part for while condition. So I just type else, and I'm going to have a statement, a printing statement, when the while condition becomes false. So here within brackets, within double quotes, I'm going to type in a is no longer less than 12. So this will be displayed when the while condition becomes false. Means once the iteration has been ended, when a becomes more than 12. So now let me do execute and check it out. You can see it displays a is no longer than 12 after completing the iteration. So this is how we do while loop in Python. Now let me start with the for loop. Here I do declare a variable called name, and I'm going to assign this with a list of items. So I'm going to add item Google, and then I'm going to give a comma, and I'm going to add the next item, which is Apple, and also I'm going to add another item within double quotes. I just mention it as Microsoft. So these are the three items I'm going to assign to this list, and I'm going to print all these items as well. So I just type print within brackets. I just call the variable name, which is the list name. So now I do execute. You can see the items of the list has been displayed in the output. Now let me start with the for loop with the keyword for, and by giving a space I just type x. So x is an iteration variable by which I'm going to search for the items in the list. So here the name is the list, and now I just enter, and I'm going to give a print statement over here. So I just bring this print statement in here, and I remove this variable name, and I'm going to replace this with x. So x is an iterative variable. So now if I do execute, the x will be printed where it will contain all the items of the list. So this is how we retrieve all the strings from the list. Now let me show in another iterative example to take out the text from a string. So I just give a square bracket in here, and I'm going to take it as 1. So 1 is the first string, the first position string, which is apple, and I'm going to take out all the text from the apple in an iterative process. Let me do execute it. So now we can see each and every text from the string apple has been retrieved in an iterative way. So this is how we do iteration process on a list. Now let me take you to another example by applying for loop into a dictionary. So I just declare a dictionary variable as dict, and I'm going to assign with keys and values within curly braces. I'm going to start with the first key, which is channel again. So within double quotes I just give as channel. So this will be my first key, and the value for it will be MD bytes. So I just key in as MD bytes within double quotes. So now I give a comma, and I go for the second key and value. So the second key will be again country. So country will be my second key, and I give a colon. Now within double quotes I'm going to mention the value for it. So the value will be Malaysia. So these are the two keys and two values for this dictionary variable dict. So now let me go into the for loop and restructure it for the dictionary. So I just remove this variable name, and I'm going to replace this with dict, so which is my new dictionary variable. So I just type dict, and I'm going to execute this. So if I do execute this, so here this x will contain the keys. So only the key values will be key taken by the x iterative variable, and you can see in the output. So now I have executed. You can see only the keys will be displayed. To retrieve the values from the dictionaries, we need to mention the dictionary variable within square brackets. We need to mention the iterative variable. So now when I do execute it, I will get the values of the dictionary. So now to get both the values and the keys, I go with the print statement by x and also dictionary of within square bracket x. So then this will bring the keys and the values from the dictionary. So this is how we do apply for loop on dictionary. So now let me take you to the next set about functions, classes, objects, and import functions. So here I start with the definition keyword, so def, and I just declare a function name which is func. So within parentheses it means that I have started a function. So within the function I just type print statement within double quotes. I'm going to give it as example function. So this is the function all about. So I have declared a function and I have a statement inside this function. So whenever I call this function using this name func, the statements which is inside the function will be executed. Now let me do that. So now I have just mentioned as func. So I have called the function name func. Now if I do execute, the statements which is inside the function will be executed. You can see the output says as example function, so where I have the print statement inside the function. As a next example, I'm going to pass a string argument into here, so where there should be a variable to receive the argument. So the x is the variable who will receive the value of the string, and I'm going to print the x as well. So the value which I pass from in here will be received by this x, and that will be printed through the print statement in the function. So now let me take you to the next example for passing multiple arguments in the function. So here we have already hi, which is a string argument. Now I'm going to pass an integer argument with this, which is 10. So for that I declare a variable y over there, and this y will receive this integer argument. So here I also do print the variable y in here to get the output of the integer argument. So here hi will be received by x and 10 will be received by y. So now let me do execute it. You can see the output displays both hi and 10. So this is how we declare function and we do pass the arguments in Python. Now let me take you to the next exercise, which is about classes and objects in Python. So here I'm declaring a class named sample underscore class. So this is how we declare a class. Using the class keyword and the class name, we can declare a class in Python. So inside the class, I'm declaring a variable which is x, and I'm assigning an integer value 10 to the variable. So now I'm going to start up with the object. So I'm going to declare an object. The object name is obj1, and here this is how we declare an object equals the class name. So object is the instance of a class, so this object is going to be an instance for this particular class, sample underscore class. So now I go with an print statement and I'm going to retrieve the value of x using the object. So now I just type obj1 dot, you can see x automatically comes in. So this x is a value or a variable which belongs to the sample underscore class. So now I have retrieved the value of the variable x using the object which I have created for this class. With this retrieval, we can also do some operations like this. By adding the value 10, I just get 20. So this is how we do create objects for the classes in Python. Now let me take you to the next exercise, which is about import keyword. So using import keyword, we can import various modules of Python into the Python code. So here I have imported math module where we have a lot of mathematical functions inside. So I just select square root as for the example. So here I just pass in the value of 81 into the square root function. So this shall be also assigned to a variable. So let me do that. So I just type x equals and this function. So this will return a value where I'm going to print this using the print statement in here. So this will return a value which is 9. Let us do execute it and check it out. So I'm going to execute it. you can see the output, it is 9.0. So this is a method to use the import keyword. Also there is another way, so I just remove this and I'm directly going to import the function now. So I'm just typing from and the module name math, and now I'm going to use the import keyword, and now directly the function name, the square root. So I just type sqrt. So I'm going to import the square root function directly into the code. So now I no need to have the math keyword again in here. So I just remove this math keyword from here so that I can directly use the square root function in here. So now this also gives the same result. So I just execute it. You can see the answer is 9.0. Also there is another method by creating a reference for the square root function. So this is how we create a reference. Just type as and give the reference name. So I have created the reference name as yes. So now I just type only yes with the function, so that this will also provide the same result. So which I have tried it, you can see it gives the same answer. So this is how we use import keyword to import the modules into the Python code.